All right, fifth grade, when you get this assignment, mixed numbers and improper fractions, it's going to look something like this. You'll see two slides over here. The first slide is going to give you the directions. Use the strategies you learned in the video to convert between mixed numbers and improper fractions. Drag the pieces together to match up equivalent mixed numbers, those are shaded in purple, with improper fractions, those are shaded in blue. Make sure you've watched the video for tips and an example. Perfect, that's what you are doing. You're watching the video. So when you click on the second slide, this is where you're going to actually go ahead and move pieces around to match them up. So I'll take a look at my first 12/5. Right here, this is an improper fraction, and I need to determine which of these mixed numbers does it pair up with, which is it equivalent to, or the same.
So the problem that I decided to use for an example is 12/5, and we need to turn this into a mixed number. So one way we can do this is by using our fraction strips. I would need fifths, which I have here, and I need to count out 12 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So here I'm showing 12/5. Now, if I want to make this into a mixed number, that means I need to pull out how many whole groups of 1 can I make. So if I compare my fifths to my 1, my whole fraction strip, I can see I have 2 whole groups. I've written that up here. 5/5 makes 1 whole, another 5/5 makes 1 whole, and I'm left with 2/5 left over, which means 12/5 is equal to the whole number 2, 1, 2, and 2/5. Now the shortcut there, if you don't want to use the fraction strips or you weren't able to get a copy, is that you can divide. 12/5. This fraction bar means divide. It's another way of showing division. So this is saying 12 divided by 5. Well, how many groups of 5 can I make out of 12? I can make 2 groups. 2 groups of 5 is 10. And I'll have 2 left over out of the 5 it takes to make a full group. So 2/5. Either strategy will get me 2 and 2/5.
All right, so once I've done that work and I've determined that the mixed number is 2 and 2/5, I will go ahead and just drag. So you're just going to click and drag the piece over just to pair them up. You can see how they kind of fit together like that. 2 and 2/5 pairs up with the improper fraction 12/5. Now, alternatively, if you didn't want to start with an improper fraction, you could start with a mixed number. We saw that in the video as well, that you could start with a mixed number and turn it into an improper fraction. So we can see that with this example as well. 2 and 2/5 is equal to 12/5. So let's take a look at what that looks like.
When you start with a mixed number, you're basically just reversing the process that we did before. So 2 and 2/5, now we want to turn into an improper fraction, some number of fifths. You can choose again to use fraction strips. You would cut out 2 wholes that are shown in fifths, and then 2 more fifths. Right here, the only thing you need to do then is count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And there's your answer, 12/5. However, if you don't have the fraction strips, you weren't able to get a set, or times where these numbers are much larger, counting might not be always the best option. So there is another strategy that you can use if you don't have fraction strips, and that is that you take your whole number 2 and you're turning it into some number of fifths. Well, 2 is the same as saying 1 plus 1. We know that 1 whole, just like we could see on our fraction strip, is 5/5, and another whole is another 5/5, and then we don't want to forget about this 2/5 that we had. This should look familiar to you from decomposing fractions. Now when we add all this together, our denominator stays 5. We're not changing the size of the parts. All we add is 5 and 5 is 10, and 2 is 12. So we see 2 and 2/5 is equivalent to 12/5.
So you choose which way you prefer. It's totally and completely up to you if you want to start with the mixed number and convert those into improper fractions, or if you'd rather start with an improper fraction and convert those into mixed numbers. Personal preference, whichever you'd like. Whichever strategy you use, just make sure then you're matching them up. So you're just going to click and drag wherever you want it to go to pair it up. And then make sure you go back to the assignment page and mark it as done so it alerts me you turned in the work. I can look at it, grade it, give you some feedback. So make sure you do that as well.